Cause we believe in hard work and faith to Sierra Leone way. We hold the line, come what may.
Them one set we more them, but we go shout. Now the poor man voice we they bring out.
Good evening and welcome live to Truth FM 103.9. This is now your Truth Evening Talk Show where it comes to you Mondays, Wednesdays and Friday, and this is now a Friday edition. And we broadcast live from Real Court Studios, Real Court Junction. And make sure say you listen to me on 103.9, and we also can to you on Facebook and on YouTube. They get we live. Well, today now we program we get for discuss about the culture and how Africa culture became big. And that's the big question today. And between our studio, we get two guests them. We get for help we discuss. This now get for be like a discussion program we for let people learn and let people understand better one how African culture became big at the global market. And I want to introduce my guests then today in the program. We get Mina Bilkis, we na a social commentator, right, and also an entrepreneur, and we get Marco Koma with we at the studios. Guys, welcome to the Truth Evening Talk Show.
Thank you, Alpha. It's a pleasure to be here.
All right, Marco.
Thank you, my guy. Thank you.
Okay, so sorry again. The communications creative, Mina Bilkis, and Marco in a media and entertainment professional. So the big question here where we get today, where we want to talk about the continent, how Africa become big globally in terms of artistry, in terms of fashion, in terms of music, entertainment. Yeah. So the first thing I want to talk about, what thing we feel say make first of all they ignore Africa culture, and then we regard Africa as some kind of space we are just some kind of place we lock in the box where nothing good no come out of, or we could just go take something out of there and make how we want and sell them, but the people with the inside in are nothing for deal with. So what do you think about we being in this kind of stereotype situation as Africans?
Okay, I'll go ahead and answer first.
Okay.
I think I'll go on for challenge we and for reject the premise say Africa was ever ignored, because it depends to the lens where you look at. If you take and say from the Western perspective, sure. But if you talk about we as Africans, where they are Pan-Africans, activists, people that really taught African business school before, then I'll say no, we've always been here trying to withhold our traditions, our customs, our rights, our culture. And so I would say in terms of like the mainstream shift or the change or the catalyst, vividly remember Timway, like I was a teenager around 2013. The biggest collaboration at that time when it came to music, Afrobeat, Nabawe Dibanj being collaborated with Snoop Dogg, Mr. Endow, the remix. Yeah. And I was like, oh my God, this is big for Africa. What does this mean for Nigeria and everything? So I remember I was cheering for him. I was like, oh, look, Uncle Snoop Dogg, all of that. So all that battle, where are we now? It's like 2013, now it's 2026, 13 years from now. Now you see African artists, them almost every year, they win a Grammy, right? Mm-hmm. Last year, Tyler was the breakout artist, and I win the Grammy. I think new artist of the Afrobeat artist. Anyways, all that to say, I think for me that was the catalyst. Seeing that crossover with like African artists and American artists, and I would say also like where the natural hair movement been taken from a female perspective. So like that's in the Abide America, and the natural hair movement been take off around in 2009, 2010. I did link this because as Africans we've been told, especially as women and girls, we've been told to reject we hair, like we bokowe the palm we hair from like 5, 10, whatever the case may be. So going back to our roots was also a way of rewiring our mentality towards Africanness and embracing it. So it wasn't too long after we begin seeing collaboration. Then we see people in the wear dashiki, people that wear Africana. So I think it was like a trickle down effect. But from my own recollection, now that Afrobeat collaboration, me think say being crossover African culture to the West and made it more packageable and sold.
Okay. Marco, again, it's in for say.
Um, it's a pretty interesting. It's a pretty interesting rundown Mina has given us. I would say though, with regards to African culture and the way how it is viewed, definitely there's this. It's a polarizing view. You're thinking that there's one group saying that it has been ignored. There's another group saying that it has been focused on. But if you look at history, right,
Yeah.
African culture has never been ignored, right? On every side. That's why it has been looted. That's why it has been pillaged, right? In different forms. It has never been ignored. So from the time of the pharaohs, right? When not even the time of the pharaohs, but from old Egypt when Greece invaded, right? They stole, even so before even that, the Phoenicians, when those people invaded, they stole things from Africa.
Yeah.
Right. So then you even come down south when Mansa Musa, you come down south, yes, when Mansa Musa made his trip, when people then that opened people's eyes to Africa. Right. So then people came in and started seeing the culture, started seeing different things and everything. So Africa has always been the center of attraction, right? But there's always been a lie that we are not the center. It's like where you want downplay person in value.
Yeah.
Then situation there, like where man yan baby, then the baby say no, then the man say, but you not find self. But you go yan and first. So it's that type of situation, right? That the world has been telling us that, we are not it, but they have been referencing us, they've been coming over, we've been seeing what black people are doing all over the world, and that's African culture as a whole, right? It's a very loaded topic. It's a very large discussion if you want to talk about African culture itself, right? But let's just bring this home from my end. Let's just bring this home and let's just niche it down and narrow it down to probably West African culture and specifically Sierra Leonean culture, right? Like West African popular music is now Afrobeats. Right?
Yeah.
We generalize with regards to any sound that sounds a bit West African. We give it Afrobeats, right? Whatever style you're doing it, the public or the world will term it as Afrobeats, right? Look at the level at which Afrobeats is at. And if you even dissect Afrobeats or you even dissect African culture to a large extent, it takes you to the culture of griots and all of that, which is a style of music, right, that we see all over the world. So even rap music imitates that. Rap music imitates that nature of griots when they sing, Yelibade, whether they sing, whether they talk, sing praises and all of that. That's why rappers are braggadocious. That's why that culture is there. I get for talk about myself. So African culture has always been a big deal. It has always been a big deal. Like if you would see inflections of it all over the world. That's why gold is a big deal.
Yeah.
That's why all of that is a big deal. Like so you have to see that just generally you can't say that the world has avoided or has abandoned African culture or that we were told this lie that we've always been the center. And so there's a need. I for one am very particular about that message. There's a need to push that narrative that Africa first, that Africa at the center, and African thoughts. There's a need to push that narrative, and I am very particular about
All right,
that.
Marco, it's 2026. Within now 2026, we see a lot of things happening. A lot of superstars, a lot of streamers, a lot of people within the West. Let's say for one countdown. Like a few days ago, we say Megan Good Day Guinea. say gets a trace of background from Guinea, and also I Show Speed, the streamer, a popular streamer, the Africa Now and Africa Tour, and all of that. One thing I want to ask is, when I feel say they know they value Africa culture, or then just they use Africa Now as a monetized platform, as a way for monetize and make money out of.
Interesting. Me own take on that they go be this, right? With something popular, definitely different people and go can cut, take their own. We cake sweet all my want eat. Right? Different people and go can cut their own. Some man they can with genuine interest, some man not they can with genuine interest, right? I think the onus is on us now. The onus is on us now to develop structures that filter. That's the best way I can put it. Structures that filter. So person will just grab and say, okay, I do my ancestry. So as I reach out the country, they're supposed to give me access to everything. I'm not saying the person will apply for a passport or whatever they say, but they're access into certain parts of culture that need to be held back. Right?
Exactly.
They're access into certain parts of culture that need to be held back.
I remember,
Exactly.
sorry for cutting you, I remember when Sizzla visited for the One Nation Reggae Festival. I remember one of his highlights when he posted on social media, and I've been there present, I've been to many where he states say, bad no they follow we share with culture and tell we stories and for way people they want to know about we. But the thing we scary is be careful about what you share and be careful about the parts of the
always
culture where you
control
want to let
the
people and
narrative.
tap into.
Yep.
Yeah. So Mina, what do you think? Marco don't give you on the side of Dandy. You feel say finally Africa don't be valued, or people at the west or other side of the world just they look like Africa say now just some kind of place where we need for tap into for make the figures online and make money out of, or come do business or establish something for make money out of.
Okay, so I think I'm for both sides. Like the point we really make, I think to a degree we need to gatekeep culture. Like we get a popular Creole parable we say, "We yams why it's not for cover."
Cover.
Exactly, and so like me feel to like, especially when it comes to like this whole monetization of December. I've been tweet like a few weeks ago say like I misway December now, but you go now host to village now be house party, just normal something. But now they don't make Dirty December, for lack of better. I think that became popular in 2019 or so. Dirty December now don't become something like you get for spend thousands and thousands, or in my own case, million. Well, okay, not thousands. We don't change the money. Thousands and thousands of leons for waiting. Some program then this December. It passed some people in salary. Let's be sincere. You see the events and 1,000 leons, 1,500 nationals. Minimum wage now 800 leons. Yes, government don't propose for maybe 1,200, but still not 800. So my point is that how many people then can take access be part of the December festivities, but you can't. Not everyone can. And the same thing goes for Ghana and Nigeria. And then it leaves the JC them, the IJGBs, whatever you call them throughout West Africa. Then they go. Then they pass 1 month and go. We were there. We get to deal with the inflation. We have to deal with all the bad effects of this tourism that we're not equipped to withstand during such a short period of time.
Yeah.
So there's that part there. Like one her name is Rani Vaughn. I love her. She's on TikTok. She's a Nigerian American. So it be the say it blow. Yes, they be the cause we say, oh yes, we an African booty scratcher. Suppose when you go Lagos, you get for show you papa in mansion, na Lekki, blah blah. Forgive them now. Not so all man for no, but what's in they happen. And then they go Nigeria again, and then they plant for 10,000 naira, now 100,000 naira. Then kind of batting them. So I think there's that aspect, but then there's also the aspect where you want showcase Salon, right?
Yeah.
All about make Sierra Leone famous and hello Sierra Leone, welcome to Sierra Leone.
Yeah.
I think there's a way that we can showcase our country that one not only romanticize the issues them, but in a way that also manages expectation. So people that know, okay, when they come, not all things sweets now. No, I mean even more developed places than they're not the same thing. So I think it's a balance. It's about telling responsible and ethical stories in a way that people are going to say, I go actually think about them before I just ace foot I come na that person they country. Because now you have something when they talk about harmful tourism. What's me presence go cause if I go to that country? If I count all me dollar them, I inflate the economy. You know, and there's some countries where they get some ecological, environmental disasters, then they say, no can visit, we no able attend to all the tourist them. So I think you get to be very mindful, especially if you say you're not Pan-African or you care about African issues. I think you get to be mindful of what you presence the cause before you go there. Whether you're now like a born of the soil or like in Megan Good's situation, the Sierra also came. She's a Benin citizen. You know, all these African Americans, you know, they're coming. So I think yes, they have seen the value now in Africa, and also and to an extent, Africa has also revive some of their dying careers. Let's be honest. Some of them B-list, C-list celebrity them. They don't touch name per Afrobeat, you know, in fact, let's be for real. We're not gonna name, you know, but shade no shade. But all of that, I think so I'm on both sides, yes. I see where we need to gatekeep, but I also see where we need to promote because we self need money. We also need international money. And this is a way to bring that.
All right. Good conversation here. So we get a lot of comments right now on with Facebook. So the next thing we talk about is the social media aspect. We see a lot of content creators, and the way Africans that they tap into content now online. Everybody gets a different niche, from the Nigerians to Ghanaians. Everybody, especially we self now salon, we see a lot of people, and now they call themselves influencers. Everybody gets in different niche. So I would feel say like social media don't change the cultural narrative of Africa. What do we think about that?
I think it's been one of the fastest ways for promote the continent. A lot of these new school artists, like Jezlik is a great example of being made on social media. He knows how to promote himself well. He has a great team. You know, he has toured in the US, in the UK, you name it. And also some careers have been made as like the TikTok stars, Peter Komba, the therapist. So definitely social media is definitely a tool to sell what we're doing here, you know, and it's also a free tool as well for the most part. I mean, once you're able to afford your internet and your data. But all that to say, I think social media has been a great tool to spread information fast. My only concern, as usual, is just fact checking, where people then quick for something bad don't happen.
I feel that's a big problem at this side.
That is a big issue, you know. So I think that media literacy, digital media literacy is important. But generally speaking, I think social media has created more opportunities, more good than harm for Africans.
Yeah, Marco.
With regards to social media and culture, it's a very interesting relationship because human beings create culture.
Yeah.
Right? We create culture and then where it goes. So if you're a media professional and you are seeing how the culture of media or how media affects culture and so how things change, right? So take for example newspaper. Newspaper is a form of media, right?
Yeah.
There was a habit developed by people to read newspaper in the morning, right? And that has transcended, that has gone through generations, that now a lot of people prefer to read in the morning. They prefer to get their news in the morning.
Exactly.
Right? It has become a cultural thing, right? So we see the same thing with social media. We see how the invent of user-generated content and short-form content and all of that has changed the landscape and the way how people feel. The way how people feel like everything should be captured, right? Is now a conversation with social media. So I am one person who I love to observe these things. I enjoy observing it, right? And so with my Africanness and social media, I would say it has given me a great platform to be able to show other people, because like I'm seeing Chinese people, I'm seeing Indian people, I'm seeing all of them put out their cultures and all of that. So I can also do this on this platform, right? My only concern is that when it comes to technology, Africa is usually way behind and usually not controlling the narrative, right? So we are last to coming with laws that benefit people. So take for example like monetization. It's a conversation that has been going on so much in our countries, right? We need this thing to work. But to be honest, we haven't put in place structures to let it work, right? So again, it brings to the conversation of structures and for us determining our narrative or controlling our narrative, right? So I would say, even though it is inevitable, it is defining our culture, but I would want more Africans to be on the professional side of media. I would want more Africans to pay attention to the professional side of media and the way how it controls the narrative, and different types of media, not just the formal ones. You have the creative ones. So like Mina's example, the TikToker, right? The content creator who's putting out something, right? All of that. These are conversations that I love to see. I love to see people put out their thoughts on social media. But then you have to admit that there's a ripple effect, that it trickles down into culture. I want to point out one thing. In Sierra Leone, because of certain characters and certain styles in which people were sending out WhatsApp messages, right? They were sending these long audios that people were listening to, right? And now you had people from a certain demographic who, you know, go saying a podcast that they listen, because now the same thing you and I might do. We might listen to podcasts for 1 hour, this or that. But people are rather listen to, I don't want to call that character their name, but people are rather listen to some of their characters there. So when they send out them WhatsApp message,
Of course,
they cause for a very long time. But then you see how it's having a ripple effect in the society, that now podcast culture is now open. That younger Sierra Leoneans who are coming up are invested in podcasts because it's now a regular thing in our society to listen to long form audio. Right? We see that. So it's a very interesting thing. Where
Right, we don't talk a lot about the side of being the African culture being ignored. We don't talk about how for use social media and let social media not like change the narrative of African culture and the one and say for the use I see I first the way come first let's letting one then the street language I don't bet. You know so I see the cowries and that's what them call them, eh? Yes, the earrings, then the Gara prints, you know what I mean? So let's touch that side. Which role we feel say fashion don't play in terms of changing the narrative of African culture and in terms of pushing the continent globally?
So I'll bring an example from my early adolescence. So I was in the States in that time, and being raised by Sierra Leonean Nigerian parents. There, even though I wasn't born here, but I lived in South Africa. There after the war, I can't move to Salon. Anyway, so my parents were very intentional about, being African. What does African identity mean to us? So fast forward, I was in middle school and junior secondary school at that time. And I've already used the culture, say, every Friday, before, every Friday I wear Africana. That was even before I came back Salon and Ernest had been president. So I've been even jokingly tell me, Paddy, and say, hey, Ernest, take me idea. Every Friday I've been in Ankara in America. Anyways, so I used to wear my Ankara or my, my African wear every Friday. So I used to joke and say I'm the first openly African child at my school because other African kids were not doing it. There were kids from the Congo, kids from Liberia, and they were looking like, wow, you're so brave. No, I said brave, but what's that? This time, cultural, waiting stuff. So I think apart from the colonial mentality, it comes with intentionality about how you're raised, and like, especially us that, were born in the West and then we have parents from the continent. There was always this question, like, are you too African to be American or too American to be African? But me, I've always embraced both because that's how I was raised too. So coming back to Salon, that wasn't an issue for me. And so I think that is that when you rewire what you deem as proper versus what you deem as culture, that's where the shift takes place. Like 3 years ago, for example, I had a fellowship in the UK. I go study there for like 2 months. We beget a cultural night, and they write a plain say, wear national clothes from your country. I was the only one, I think, a country close me wear. All men wear like Western clothes. So I watched them. I said, are you cosplaying your colonizer? Not in laugh. I said, no. They said, wear your national clothing. I wanted to see clothing from Malawi, Rwanda, whatever. So I said, why? So I challenged them. I said, why is it that you're so comfortable to wear this type of clothing? What's wrong with your clothing that your grandfather and grandmothers are wearing? They're not able to talk, they're mumu. So I think once you start to have these, in quotes, difficult conversations, you will start to confront and realize, say, okay, you know what's in, maybe I am I'm mentally colonized. How do I now start to unlearn that? And that, okay, starts by wearing accessories, buying local, promoting local economies. I think that's where the shift begins. So, I mean, for me, I mean, most part, I always wear African clothing because I think it's important, especially when you go for a conference and you're representing your country. I think fashion is also a conversation starter. Oh, where is this dress from? Oh, I got this from Burkina Faso. Oh, I got this from Kenya. I think that's the easiest way to connect with another human being.
All right. Fambul, you don't look we on Facebook and on YouTube, and you listen to we on radio on FM 103.9. This is the Truth Evening Talk Show with me, Alpha, popularly known as Motolani. We get Mina Bilkis in the studio with we, and we also get Marco Koma, winner media and entertainment professional. Also, Mina Bilkis, winner communications creative and also a curator. Well, we don't talk about the topic. African culture became big business globally. Marco, this one they go directly to you as a music and media person and entertainment professional. And we don't see a lot of things that only be all over the world, especially in promoting the African music, African movies. I see African movies and now they make them to Netflix and all of that. So what do you think, say, now some of the goals them we African music and African films they don't play, in other words, for push with culture out there and sell with culture outside of Africa?
It's been extremely essential. I think say the media formats there. So music, film, these are all media formats. The media formats and don't give Africans and the chance for control the narrative, right? Because again, we're telling African stories in the movies. We're telling African stories in the music. I just thought of an analogy like the P Square song "Chop My Money."
Yeah.
Right? That's a concept that is very West African that we understand.
Yeah.
Where man say chop my money. Like where man tell woman say chop my money.
Chop my money.
Yeah, so it's a very African concept. It's a very African concept, like when you think about it. So this is us telling our stories in different ways, from music to movies and all of that. I think it's been important. I think now my thing now is Sierra Leone. Where are we? Where are we in this conversation?
Exactly.
Right? Are we trying to be part of the rest of Africa in telling our stories and controlling the narrative? And in telling the story, you have the artist who has done their best to put out the art, to put out the story. The conversation also includes execs, includes people behind the scenes, right, who control these stories. So we need record labels, we need production houses, we need all of these people to control the African narrative. Because so let me give you an example. I was trying to do some work some years ago in which I wanted to do a sample with a Sierra Leonean song. All right. I found out that this song was now owned by a British company, like a British record label. So we had to contact them and all of that, right? And so it piqued my interest, and I was like, you know what, let me do a research for more Sierra Leonean songs, right? Sierra Leonean songs from the 70s, from the 80s, right? From that period, a lot of them are not owned by Sierra Leoneans anymore. Like, and again, another issue, Bonnie Mac, the My Sweet, right? Like that.
I think recently there was a conversation online where this female artist, Eden Adama, bingo comments when Flavor released that song, comment say, this sound originally come from Salone and a Bonnie Mac sound. Flavor then it been gets a whole lot of negative comments from Nigerians in the comment section. So maybe they tell a word, say you know a lie.
Exactly. So that just tells you that the narrative is not being controlled by us, because on a global level, there's no reason why that song should not be known as a Sierra Leonean song.
Exactly.
Right? But even the rights to the song isn't owned by the Sierra Leoneans now. Right? Because it's been sold to a record company. I think it's owned by Columbia Records or something. So it's been owned. It's owned by a record company, and it's a bigger conversation. Maybe the estate of Bonnie Mac. I don't want to speak on that fully. Maybe the estate of Bonnie Mac owned that specific song, but it's something that we see in different areas. So even in film, even in even in fashion that you were discussing just a few seconds ago. Even in fashion, right? You're seeing that African styles, African patterns are no longer owned by African. As soon as it arrives in China, they make it in masses, and then it now becomes a global.
Yeah, and when we come back to fashion, so we don't talk about this now. There was one time I see a post on social media exactly where they try to compare some of these big labels, some of these big brands, fashion brands, like the Louis Vuitton, the Chanel, who side and pull their logo them. You just see say the photo then show say these clothes them were first designed by Africans, by some tribe, where sometimes this particular designer, the chief them be the wear or the woman them be the wear or this certain society or group of people them be the wear where when compare the photos them like the older pictures of the design, the prints, to the newer version of Chanel, Louis Vuitton. You see, like these are originally seen the way the African people in the wear. They just twist them over, you know. Exactly like this. How do they call this other clothes? Like Burberry or something. And recently, I see like this clothes where them people are in Kenya, from the Maasai tribe.
Yeah.
Where they wear that something like red or waiting, people like plaits or something.
Yeah.
I see another big brand don't turn her into something. And if you check right now, Gucci or this other brand, then say they sell Ghana must go now. You know, for $1,000 or $500 or something. I don't know how, you know, like these people have been exploiting us for a very, very long time. And, you know, we feel say, which role the diaspora don't they play in terms of when it comes to them in their way? Basically, we all know say some people they come from African background, African parents, or some they even are from Africa and come they don't mature, they know the culture and everything. But as soon as they go, then get that side of their own culture and get them mixed and twist up. Which role if you say the diaspora don't they play in terms of the positive side and in terms of the negative side, like Africans living in the diaspora, which role in Africa they don't play in terms of talking about this culture now?
It's a mix, like what you don't say. I feel like the diasporans should be the ambassadors of their countries and the continent as a whole to dispel any negative narrative we do about the continent. But unfortunately, you get the same diaspora and people them like, okay, all man no say na America, the Salon of America na the DMV, DC, Maryland, Virginia, East Coast. And the time where I've been day, I'll be very honest. I don't believe people say me na salon person. I will make like another crew. You go in a supermarket, so hey sister, pass me the abas. The person they answer you, yes sir, yes ma'am. But because of the negative stereotypes that were surrounding Sierra Leoneans, I didn't want to be associated with that. And you know, say salon small quick. They don't ask, what about you? What are mama? What are papa? Quick. That's what no reach free tongue. And that's me not be one. Not that I was doing anything, but you know, I just to say all that to say. So because of some of the negative stereotypes, like some of the salon people that we got all left Freetown or salon from the 70s or the 80s, then still their minds have not evolved to understand that Freetown or Sierra Leone has changed. The same bad cost they were, I know one day ye na salon. Today in a diaspora anymore. And I say, eh? So I mean you see it on social media as well. So some of these things unfortunately they transcend into the media and you're like, well, you know what's that person in mentality day. From whenever they left salon, if you say, oh man, get that bored, we would kind of about waiting the talk. But then likewise, you know, people who are also refugees from war. They have a lot of traumatic experiences associated with their country, so they don't go back because of fear or juju or whatever it is we make them left in country. So I think that's one thing. Like I remember some years ago I was in Paris and I be there inside in Uber. They go na me hotel and I be talk to the man, but the man, although he looked Arab, but something me tell me that maybe he's an African. Something by the way we be talking French. So we did talk now and I say, sir, what's you come out? He said, come on, Mali. And I said, oh, okay. I said, we're like siblings. I come from Sierra Leone. And I said, oh, but you don't left Mali over 30 years ago. And I said, why, if you don't mind me asking? He said, well, because I think originally, because like I say, he looked Arab. I think his grandparents were from Algeria, and then they emigrated to Mali. Anyways, but he was a Malian by passport. Anywho, so he had a girlfriend from the neighboring village, and everyone married the girl, but then in Granina be some racist lady, blah blah blah. Begin they talk about the girl, see the girl now witch. So eventually the boy Itawa. They love being sweet, yeah. He married the girl, he and the girl on her way and go France. So you see from that, so they mean come now, they don't born in Pekin, it's like, go back in the village. Maybe that mentality don't change. They nearly miss for kill that guy with which gun. So from that time, they say no, they go again because they want killing wife, and I can understand that. So I think as Africans, as we travel more, we go to the West. Now we as well need to tell diasporans and say, times have changed, and just going back to unlearning, relearning, and learning the culture of Africa. What is happening and what is not happening. But in terms of the positive, the diasporans, they have the money, Statistically speaking, diasporans are spending billions of dollars into the continent through remittance apps. I think nobody free promo, but you know what I mean? You did transfer money to that you sister or whoever, na tongue. So I think apart from them being one of the financial partners of development, they also have connections that we don't have in that part of the world that can also bring money and promote the cultures of our various countries. So, it's both. Yeah, it's both.
All right. Fambul, when I don't listen to Schools FM 103.9 and also get me on Facebook and on YouTube, and we don't talk about the culture. And we get Marco Koroma, when a media and entertainment professional, and also get Mina Bilkis, when a communications creative and creator. We go get two videos them from two popular posts in them in Africa. One is Vusi, and also know Vusi from South Africa, is a serial entrepreneur. And also we go get another video from Dangote, talk about the business side of Africa. Then we'll come back, we'll continue the conversation from the videos and also get some more interesting questions and for talk about.
Interesting.
I've got a very controversial view on this, but I don't think Africans should be trying to build unicorns.
Yeah?
The Silicon Valleying of Africa is actually incredibly short-sighted and very toxic. We should not be trying to build a unicorn. A unicorn is a billion-dollar valuation business. Doing business in North America is a financial thing. You do business because you want to make money. And the reason is because the societies are so advanced and so well developed that one of the best ways you can contribute to that society is by adding financial value to that society. Doing business in Europe is in part a financial thing. We were looking at this in the company the other day. We looked at the world's top 100 largest companies, beginning of the 20th century, 1900s. And then if you look at the beginning of the 21st century, the reduction of the European companies in the world's top 100 largest companies. Who would they have been? Would have been, I don't know, Royal Dutch Shell. And you can count them. It's still the same companies today. They don't want to admit it, but with the greatest of respect, Europe stopped innovating 100 years ago.
That is true.
And it's not hard to see. It's because just look at the number of large companies. Now, because we were colonized by the Europeans, one of the things the Europeans did is they embedded in Africa European risk management frameworks. This is why African banks don't lend to African businesses, because we're using European credit scoring and risk models to think about the development of our own economies. But to be clear, when European standards were imposed on Africa, Europe was far more developed than Africa was. Standards have to meet your rate and stage of development.
A lot of people, even the younger ones, we need to be also very, very careful, because one of the biggest issues with us Africans is that we spend our projected incomes Once you start doing business starts doing well. Rather than for you to keep reinvesting into the business, you start spending money and thinking that profit will continue to come. There are ups and downs in business, so you need to be very, very focused and say, okay, fine, what do you do and how do you do those things?
A lot of guys ask me, what is the most successful way to build a business in Africa? First, is to recognize that Africa is nuanced. It's 54 different countries, over 1,000 different tribes, over 3,000 different languages. There's no such thing as one single Africa. It's all different. So know where you are and who you're doing business with, what are the cultures, the traditions, etc. Second, and the most important thing I can tell you about building a business in Africa, get yourself a sponsor. Every game, every industry you are in has somebody in it who's been there before, who's well known, loved, respected, and who can open doors for you that you don't even know exist. Get yourself a decent sponsor. And third, play the long game. The problem with the world today is too many of us are just worried about the next round, the next raise, the next. We're not thinking about the long-term game anymore. If you want to do business here, play the long game, and you will succeed.
I deliberately get them videos then they follow we play we talk about culture and changing the narrative. Vusi don't come off from the businessman side, the entrepreneur side. And Dangote also is an entrepreneur, although he's a billionaire, he's also an entrepreneur. So basically around all these videos, we talk about how we forgot about investing in the continent, how we forgot about putting more money in trusted business, and how we not for the business model them compared to the West, how for study we own markets as Africans, and try for do business now. This side of Africa, we're going to make the continent go in some kind of way. So let's talk about the business side, in investment. I would feel say like more Africans really, for example, I'll go to exactly politicians. Most times I don't know, and I want to say probably now how did they get their money or something. But I would feel say more Africans don't want to invest in the continent. What do we think about that?
Okay. So for start off, investing in the continent isn't easy. So we can't fault most people, right? And also the continent's very big. Like again, like different things are happening. So let's niche down. Right? Let's bring it down to what we see, what we know. A lot of West Africa and a lot of Sierra Leone, right? Investing here isn't easy. Right, because there are a lot of things that would just go to waste. And investing in different ways, be it money, be it time, be it your energy, be it even your intellect, right? Investing your intellect. Because again, we that exist in the media, we know we do a lot of IP work. A lot of our thoughts go into putting things down. So a lot of putting your thoughts for an African audience is not easy. Because you do watch and say, how are they make me returns? That's an investment. Like, how are they make me returns? Now, Africa is at a very unique place, right? Because of waiting the video say, Vusi in first video about the structures that we have being colonial structures, that means that they are old, right? So the world don't do a lot of leaps, and now we they catch on. But we're at a very unique place where we have the unique opportunity to make it cater for us in a very unique way, because we don't see all man, we don't go ahead of we don't do the things in a certain way, right? So investing in the continent, I wouldn't fault anyone who doesn't want to invest in the continent. I have an uncle who finds it very difficult to invest in anything Sierra Leonean, anything on the continent. Like one time we're having a conversation and he told me, I think he's left Sierra Leone for about 30 years, and he told me that I don't get no inclination for cancer loan. Like the things that they see on the news, I don't get no inclination for cancer loan. So, and I wouldn't fault him. If I was in his position, I was outside of Sierra Leone, doing well for myself, I would find it very hard to come and deal with a lot of the shenanigans.
So let's talk about the salon side. Why you especially feel say there's nothing we're gonna make person feel interested to invest now?
So I reach to that. It's like me train of thought is that there's a lot going on in Sierra Leone that isn't easy. Then there are unique people like us, right? And I don't want to say unique as in we're doing special anything. We are doing something special. Let me not downplay it, right? Unique as in we don't have a superpower, but we're unique as in we've made up our mind to invest in this economy.
Okay.
to do our best to springboard from this economy and impact the rest of the world, starting in this economy, right? And so there's a need for us to, one, be invested in developing structures, right, that will allow more investment to come in. There's also a need for us as a country, as a nation, right, to make it palatable for people to come in and want to invest in our culture and all of that, because the conversation here is culture.
Yeah.
Right. So the conversation here is music, is our entertainment, it's also our art, it's also all of that, right? So things like the museum, very important in doing that, because like let's say this white, let me not even say white man, let's say this African man who is on holiday from another African country wants to come into Sierra Leone, but he wants to visit Sierra Leone and then see old Sierra Leone art and probably invest in it. Right? We not get proper side where they maintain them things there. We not don't invest as a people in maintaining those things. Right? Years ago, I was told of a story of I mean, get one of me great grandpa where me they carve iron stone. He made carve iron stone, and so when me parents they married, he give them one gift where that be like iron stone where they carve, and they say some other people in my family say that the money don't give it don't give me parents there, so my parents they may end up get for dispose of her, right? In which years later I was speaking to my father, and then he told me that at that time he didn't even know the importance of carved art like that. Right, so it was later on that he realized that, oh, now something valuable now disposed of just because of the thinking and the way how our society don't hold on to we culture. Right, so I'm trying to draw a string between the way how we think of our culture and the way how people are supposed to invest in it. So I can imagine if somebody tell you say one starts dance troupe na salon, you go invest in her. If somebody tell you say one starts dance troupe,
like a dance group.
Dance troupe, like what do we know where they go out and do cultural dance?
Why not for invest?
Exactly. Well, so you get the experience, but a lot of people would see it as a not worthy investment.
It is.
Exactly.
We know lots of dance groups all over the world. We make them, and it's a big business right now, because they say now people are very important and the creative
Exactly.
sector.
So that narrative, and that's why conversations like this are very important. That narrative need to be put out there, because again, people are coming into Sierra Leone. December, we've had Dirty December, whatever. People are coming in. They're looking for local Sierra Leonean things to invest in. They're looking for art. They're looking for painting, Sierra Leonean style painting, Sierra Leonean narratives to invest in, right? And so that needs to be.
So you feel say we don't go wrong, Africa don't go wrong, or within Africa they avoid as culture don't become currency right now. It's every part of the globe right now. The Asians, the Arabs, they try to like push out their culture. One of the things them way we see the people in the UAE and Dubai they try to do, when you go to them countries, they allow you they casually for dress like them, whether than turban, then whites, kaftan and all of that. So what's how you feel say we in this part of the world, Africans don't they go wrong, and we make some of the things that we talk to say people in the scared for invest in the continent. Mina, what do you feel? What do you think?
So for me, when I think about investment, I just don't think about financial. I think of human resources. You need to invest in the people themselves.
Exactly.
Invest in the skills. Like before, I used to run, after Ebola, I'd be run a safe space for adolescent girls, Girl Up Lion Club Sierra Leone, and teach girls about, reproductive health rights, about computer, digital literacy, things like that. You need to, because I believe if you, teach one each one, So if you teach one person, I can always say, even if you're so busy, you don't get time for a person. But let's say you get one picking in your neighborhood where you need them for cross that busy road. Maybe each day, after picking you cost the road, with lunch. Maybe that picking will be somebody tomorrow. Maybe you could be doctor, you could be lawyer, you could be president. So I think you need to nurture someone. We're all mentored till we come to this level here. So we say we have to send the elevator back down. Mean that you have to pass the baton. So I think that human resources is the greatest investment we can make as a continent. During the war, our greatest minds, they left the continent. I mean, not any fault of their own. War is war. If now you said go flee, and with that in mind, we experience a brain drain. And now that we're having like a second wave of the brain drain because of economic issues there. You the Nigerian man there. I mean, I don't japa, I don't go so.
Yeah.
Even me baba, right? Now, because it pain me. Even me baba self, you also japa. Na tempo on, tempo on. I'm telling you, unfortunately for me, I just pray say he's safe, but me no say na tempo on, tempo on. But all of that. So you asked about what are some of the things that there was a follow-up question you had about
why you feel say people most of the things they would happen, why you feel say they not see Africa like a space for investing.
I mean, without focusing on the negativity, it could be instability, it could be distrust, but these are things that you can see in any community. Now, make us say if you invest in the person, yes, even if you trust the person, can be that person they still betray you, matter man na weather. But once you invest in people as a collective, it's not possible to say they all go fail you. 1, 2 bad egg go day. But if the majority of them, they will succeed if you believe in them, if you nurture them. That's my own belief. I think I value human resources over financial resources.
Okay, we don't talk about how Africa culture don't become big business. Yeah, we don't talk about the music side, the fashion side. We don't talk about recently. We don't talk about investing. Why you not for invest or why you for invest and all of that. Yesterday, I feel like there was a creative event at Cabana on the beach side, organized by the Chief Minister of Sierra Leone. And a lot of the things that we people raise up was like for the creative sector, like a space where creative will feel free for do their work and make money out of, like this kind safe platform, 3 speakers out of the 5 or 6 people and we here talk about creating an auditorium. Some man say 10,000, some man they say 20,000 capacity, some man they say 30,000 capacity. Yeah, all of that. So in terms of we can own a salon. In terms of being part of the game as Sierra Leoneans, as a country, as part of being part of the game for Africa culture go big, waiting una feel say na government say you role, for successful invest for the culture, like with music, everything, fashion and everything. Wait feel say na their own role with them for play for invest in the in industries we go make we self be game players.
Definitely the infrastructure, and it starts from the foundation. GSS, not so every public school get the opportunity for do, I think they call it CPA, I'm forgetting the system, but practical arts basically. And then they can learn music and whatnot. So, they can just take and take Becker. After that, they take the more, in quote, serious subjects. I think an investment in the arts, a resurgence of the investment of the arts needs to take place. Not all man go get the opportunity or the finances or the resources for do extracurricular, for go na music school. After, not all man come on that kind of stay, or you get possible they can't teach in us privately. So I think having the creative arts to be accessible to the public, especially those in formal education, that goes a long way. So then, people can broaden their perspectives when it comes to, if you ask any speaking now, most of them, anyway, tell everybody go to school, wait to and be doctor, lawyer, engineer, accountant. Now when you go and ask kids, I want to be a content creator. I was shocked. I got out of school last year. I want to be a content creator. I want to be a pilot. I want to be this. I said, it's good. It's changing because of their being influenced positively by the media. Then believe say, this person here, he used media as a tool for emerge out of poverty, me self kingdom. It starts from watching these Nigerian stars on YouTube, for example. All of this, Ake and Popo, all of this don't give some people in hope and like newer actors. So I think an investment in the curriculum in the creative arts sector and also reviving the culture of like going to watch a play, for example. For going to cinema over the weekend. These are things that, picking and if grow up for see, say, okay, the arts is an outlet for mental health challenges, emotional challenges, but also for let you improve your public speaking. That I did Milan for do public speaking through theater arts. So I think that kind of investment is important. And this government, there a lot of young people are there. A lot of them then then they identify as a creative. So I think we need to just tap into these individuals who know they go back to this.
All right. We'll decide for roundup now, and I just remember you really watch. We say we get Mina. We don't need to talk to Mina Bilkis, winner communications creative, and curator, and also Marco Koma, winner media and entertainment professional. We don't need to talk about the culture, how culture sells, and how Africa become big business. All right. For roundup, the last question now is what's in the future hold for Africa business? What's in the future hold for we? And going more big, we all know say Africa is big right now. Everybody wants to tap into the continent. So what's in the future hold? Let's just round it up quickly.
It's a loaded question, Alpha.
For me, we go around now quickly.
I have to think about it. What does the future hold for Africa?
Anyway, from my point of view, what does the future hold for Africa? I think we're at a point again, just like how the colonialists let me carve up Africa in the Berlin Conference without any black man in it or any African.
Can you imagine?
Right? They're not right? I think we're at that position again, that the world in here don't camp Africa again, but this time for I
think there's a lot of awareness.
This time for the arts and all of that. But there's a lot of awareness, but there's also a lot that's missing is the drive to develop these structures that can, because again, globalization is a reality, right? It's a reality, and to be able to do global business, you must have a certain structure. That's why certain things cannot happen here, right? The example Vusi gave about international banks refusing to give loans is that there are no structures really for you to be able to chase those loans in some cases. Right? In some cases, there's no structure to be able to do that. So you have to understand that structures need to be put together. And these structures have to start from the most minute way, from the most minuscule place, which is in the family. Right? I believe that in homes, if we can start putting a value on culture in homes, it will transcend onto a larger level, that even if that child 50 years from the day he was born becomes a leader in his community, he would value the culture, in which the people who are moving the culture are the creatives. The people who are the custodians of the culture are the creatives, because we're the ones telling the stories on the media platforms, we're the ones telling the stories on the stage and all of that. So we also the community needs to come together and say there is a need for us to protect this. But where do we start? I think we start at homes. Right? There should be, in every Sierra Leonean home, there should be a need to move Sierra Leonean culture. There should be such a pride for Sierra Leoneanness, Sierra Leonean culture, so that you want to invest in Sierra Leonean music. You want to watch Sierra Leonean movies. You want to talk about Sierra Leonean things, right? In that way. So yeah, that's just that.
All right, Mina, your last words on this?
Yeah, sure. I think I'll take a page from what Marco said about like this new scramble for Africa. In that light, we should be the custodians of our own culture. Earlier I talked about, where you yams, white you for kobam. I think we do need to have this pride and dignity, and even be proud, like cack small, for saying, this is who I am as an African, and to be able to curate these stories and to pass these stories down for other generations to come. I would say there are some cultures and ethnicities that are very intact, like the Yoruba culture. I would say it's pristine. What's did anybody do 100 years ago? They still do it.
Still they do it.
So I think it's important, as we live in a globalized society, as Marco has said, don't allow our culture to also be diluted because we want easy acceptance. That's not what we're looking for. Yes, of course, who doesn't want, Sierra Leone culture to go to the next level? But I always ask, at what cost? At your dignity?
True.
No. So I think as we tell these stories, we have to continue to inject our culture into them. Because now look at the Oxford Dictionary. It now includes words like Okada, Japa.
Yeah,
And I'm
Japa.
like, so someone was having this conversation. Hey, we don't try. I said, no, I disagree. Because there are more countries that are colonized by Great Britain that speak English more than the inhabitants and the natives themselves. So English is, not all money on language. It's Sierra Leonean English, Liberian English, Nigerian English. So I think we need to, right now, we need for first relation more them, salon what they enter that dictionary now. Nigeria, and Ghana, because they're bigger countries, obviously. But in the next 5 years, let's see one word like poda, enter,
Exactly.
Oxford Dictionary. Why not? If Okada don't enter, why we self not for enter?
Right, it's been a good conversation. I thank you when I come join me today in the Truth Evening Talk Show. We don't talk about how Africa culture become big business, and I feel like we don't massage the topic. I mean, even though the time not enough, I feel like next time I'll get on back and get some other conversation. And family, don't they listen to we on 103.9 on Truth FM. And they also they look we on Facebook, and also they get we on YouTube. We've been getting Mina Bilkis. We still get Mina Bilkis at the studio when our communications creative and creator, and also Marco Koma, when a media and entertainment professional. It's been a nice evening talk show, and I really enjoyed the show with Tuna. And that's all one can bring the curtains down. I want to say special shout out to the technical team, Simon, Anso, and Joshua. And also my producers then for today, winner Kelfala Kabo and Saido Kabo. And we get DJ Flex with Winaya. And Tete next week, Monday, remember for tuning Monday, Wednesday and Friday, 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. a 1 hour program on the Truth Evening Talk Show. I've been your fine gentleman presenter. Alpha bubbling known as Motolani, and I saw they bring the curtain down. Tata, we get it Truth Evening, the news next. Goodbye.
Peace.